Hello, Facebook Live and everybody on Facebook. My name is Josh Oakes, and I'm honored today to hang out with 5 online digital safety experts to talk about a really important topic. We're talking about digital safety today, and you know that all summer and all fall, we're really here to protect your family. Now, you may be a parent that's a professional, or you may be really worried about your kids or your whole family as a whole unit. And today I'm here to talk with you about some safety tips you can use. And at the end, we're going to do what I call my favorite part, the I heard, where maybe you're at a cocktail party and somebody says, hey, I heard this. So stay tuned towards the end. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So here's what I'd like to do first. I'd like to dive into one of our experts here before we get started. We're going to talk first with Andrew. Andrew, I want to start with you, and I want to ask you real quick. You're in Florida. Andrew, what is one of the tips we can use? You talk a little bit about once something's online, it's there forever. Can you talk to us more about how that works on Facebook and what we can do to make sure that doesn't happen?
The big thing to understand is that when it comes to posting something to Facebook, Facebook has everything attached to a URL. Every picture you upload, every video you upload has a unique URL that can be shared that goes beyond your privacy settings. It was interesting. I had a student who said, well, I have pictures on Facebook, but they're private. They're only mine. Only I can see them. Nobody else can look at them. And I said, well, it still has a URL. If somebody gets out to that URL, then it can share to everyone. And you would never know because there's not a counter. There's no way to know who's accessing it. And she just said, no, that's not true. It's not going to happen. Won't happen. Then we tested it out. She texted me the URL. I basically turned the phone over and said, is this your picture?
Wow.
And she's like, oh, yeah. So the big thing to understand is that for Facebook to store pictures and videos, they have to have a means to do it. And they do it by attaching a unique URL to each thing. And that URL can then be shared through text messaging, through email, through other social media platforms. So it's not protected and housed in some vault that nobody can ever access. It might not be the easiest thing to get to, but once it gets spread and shared, then anybody can have access, can download the image, can screenshot the image, and then it's out to everyone.
Yeah, that's very, very wise advice. All right. And I think that's just a good thing for parents to know. All right. Now we're back over to, I want to talk to Derek now. Derek, you're in New York, Derek Peterson. And Derek, you talk a lot about bullying and your technology that you have. Digital Fly talks about bullying and how to keep kids away from bullying. You talk a lot about if kids can you give us an anti-bullying tip, or how can we see bad behavior in students that might be bullying or being bullied? What is one of your biggest key takeaways there?
Well, you'll tend to see a certain behavior with the child or the student, and that becomes their phone becomes so safeguarded, and they're worried about anybody seeing what's on the phone. A parent or a teacher should be able to pick up a child's phone at will and just browse through it, and just should be no suspicious behavior. But we tend to see kids get very, they want to cover what they're doing all the time because at that point they're nervous that an adult or supervisor may see what's actually going on. And that's the first red flag that there may be problems with the child's phone.
That's a really wise, at the end of one of my speeches, a law enforcement officer came up to me and she said, my son threw the iPad when I entered the room, threw the iPad on the bed and just looked at me like this. And she noticed a really weird behavior there, looked at the iPad, and a predator was talking to her son. Really creepy. And I thank you for bringing that up if they behave weird. Okay, next we're over to Bryan Greenberg. Bryan, you're in Chicago. Bryan, you talk a little bit about how to secure just about anything if it has one feature to make it harder for people to get in. What is that feature? And talk to us about how does it protect us?
Well, yeah, that feature is called two-factor authentication, sometimes 2FA for short. I want to make clear, though, that nothing is ever 100% secure, but two-factor authentication really does help reduce other people from logging into your accounts. And it's simple. It's simply registering your cell phone number with that account provider. So if it's Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, you just turn on two-factor authentication. And when you go to log in, it will send a text to your phone with a random number. You put in that number, and then they know it's you.
That's awesome. It's very true. And a lot of systems have that, and it's really easy for kind of these days for us and important for us to turn it on. So that's really great. Okay, next we're over to Holly Zink. Holly's in New York. Holly, you've got a tip that really, one of your tips was, hey, you may think one part is super secure, but it might lead to everything else. Talk to us about that and how can we be a little bit safer online?
So often people think that just having a strong password especially on social media accounts, I mean, this could extend to bank accounts, of course, just protects their accounts from people, either hackers, criminals online, protects their account. But just having a strong password may not be enough. You could be on Twitter, for example, and you get a friend request. They may seem like someone you accept, and your account could get hacked possibly. Same goes for even posts by other pages. You never know unless it's like a reputable page like Twitter or Facebook. Yeah. And you're following them, you click the link, it could lead to a site with a virus, for example. So honestly, you're never sure online. So yeah, you want to be careful what links you're clicking, who you're following, and do have as much protection on your account as possible.
Mm-hmm. No, very wise. We're actually thinking of doing a blog teaching grandparents what to click on and what not to click on. That's a huge problem these days, is with people going, and in fact, I was in the bank the other day and I had this sweet lady sitting next to me, probably in her 60s, and she was from another country, and she got something in the mail that said, here's a bunch of information about your credit card. And she went, I don't get it. Please, somebody walk me through it. I thought that was really smart of her to go straight to the bank to say, is this from you? And please walk me through it. She was so sweet. Okay, next, we're on to Mariana Agelinas. Did I pronounce that right?
You did.
Okay, awesome. And you're with Sara Social, which is a piece of technology that I'd love for you to give us one sentence about what it does. But I want you to, most importantly, to talk about how we can create trust. Give us a tip on how we can create trust with kids to protect them online. And you're in Nashville right now, Tennessee.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. So I am with Sara Social. We're just a collaborative online monitoring system for parents and kids to use together, which brings me to my main tip. My most important tip, I think, for parents is having a conversation with your child and having it early on. This is a whole new game, online presence and predators and cyberbullying. They could reach us anywhere in our kids. So grabbing them at a young age, having the conversation, setting expectations and asking them, what is your expectation? What do you want out of social media platforms or on online presence? And then giving them your expectation for allowing them to have a presence.
I like that.
Going through with the non-negotiables of privacy settings, how many people you can have in your network. It's all preventative, really.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. Keeping up a good dialogue. That's really great. All right, we're back over to Andrew. Andrew, I've got my favorite part of this whole video is the I heard thing, where it's a misconception. We've all heard this. Maybe those of you that are watching right now, you're a parent or you're an educator and you're an expert in a lot of things, but especially one field. And you probably meet people that are always saying like, well, I heard the earth is flat. I mean, obviously we would all giggle at that for the most part, except for maybe a few of us. But the point is you probably get the same questions and they're probably very wrong in their misconceptions. So I want to kind of walk through. Andrew, I want to start with you. Talk to us about a misconception you hear all the time and maybe the answer behind it.
Well, I was thinking about it while we were going through this discussion. And one of the things that pops up frequently is people say, well, I heard you can kind of hide online, and that's not actually true. And what I mean by that is I have a lot of students who think if I use my first name and middle name on Facebook, nobody will ever find me. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things. I'm far from a hacker. I'm not a white hat. I'm not a black hat. I am not a hacker by trade or by any other means. But then I will actually show them sometimes in class of, yes, I can still find you. And it's really not that hard with things like Google reverse image search. And you can just use that right through Chrome. And it's one of those things where a lot of times they think that they can't be found or that they're sneaky enough that no one will find what they're doing. And it's not actually true. And again, I'm not the government. I don't have any special skills like Liam Neeson in this. I can just show them, hey, it's really easy to find you. Don't think that you can hide. So that's one of the things I think comes up the most. And I also know it's one of the things that my students kind of get a little bit annoyed by when I show them that they're wrong.
Yeah, that's really great. And I love how you show them that. You don't tell them that, you go and show them. Look how easy it is to find you. We find that students love that. Okay, Holly, we're back over to you real quick. What's one of your misconceptions that you might have or that you hear all the time?
So obviously, as I said before, people think, oh, I create a really strong password and my account's secure, and it's not always secure. And even, for example, if a parent were to monitor their kids, like social media accounts, for example, in order to protect them, even a parent overseeing their account may not actually protect them on social media, because the kid could possibly be cyberbullied by someone, and the parent can't do anything about that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, very valid. Okay, we're back over to Derek. Hey, Derek, talk to us about one of the misconceptions. You've got a good one that I think is really, really valid. One of the misconceptions that parents have.
Well, and we talked about, I heard that everything that Snapchat things disappear in 15 seconds. But what actually happens is kids can screenshot that, then it lives on forever. They screenshot it, that picture or that image, and they text message it all over the place. So it will still continue to live on.
Yeah. And then one of the probably I heards as well, Derek, there is, well, no, it'll let students say all the time, it notifies me if that person screenshot it. And then Andrew has a tip as well. Andrew's tip is, Andrew, I'm going to unmute you. Unmute you. And what is your tip, Andrew, about telling students whether it notifies you or not?
Well, there's a couple different things when it comes to Snapchat. We all know that you can get a notification if someone takes a screenshot, but at that point, they now have the screenshot. All it does is it's let you know they took an image of it. But there are actually ways, there are third-party applications that you can use on your phone that will allow you to basically download the image and not give a notification to the other person that you have now saved that image to your phone. And there's other kind of jailbreaks that you can do. You can easily find them if you Google them. Connecting your phone to your computer, accessing the temporary folder on your phone. It's one of those things where, again, it goes back to often students just don't understand just how unprivate their stuff can be. And still, they don't seem to be afraid enough of, well, someone will have a screenshot, but at least I'll get a notification.
Very, very valid. Speaking of which, very good. And so thank you, Derek, for that one. And Andrew, we're now over to Bryan Greenberg. Bryan in Chicago. You talk a little bit about a really good one when you delete it and stuff. Can you tell us one of the I heards and what your answer is there?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people come to me and say, hey, if I have photos on my phone, I could just throw it out or delete them and I won't have to ever worry about those again. But that's not necessarily true. Most of those applications that take your photos like iCloud or Google Photo backup application will synchronize all those photos up into the cloud and different kinds of clouds. So depending on how you've set up your computer and your phone, you may have copies of all of your photos in iCloud, in Dropbox, in Google Photos, and a number of other services, and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, very valid. It ends up going further than we thought. And Mariana, I want to come back to you. Your final thought, and you have I heard a misconception. What is that?
Sure. I heard that if my children allow me to friend them on all of their platforms, it means that they must be pretty good. And that's not true. Fake accounts exist, Finsta accounts exist, and there's so many different languages out there that cyber bullies are using hashtags to attack people online that parents, you don't know. Trust me.
Yeah, that's really great. I want to thank all of you for coming out. Hey guys, I want to talk to all the parents that are watching right now and educators. You know, we have something called Parent University that is happening right now these days, and it's really a back to school opportunity for your parents. If your school cannot afford the big Parent University package that a lot of schools are hiring us to come out and do, it is $9 a month to teach all of your parents how Snapchat works, how Finstagram works, how to find out if your kids have a fake Instagram, which is a Finstagram, how the secret hidden, the secret parts of the apps work. We teach live. We have this special camera that goes over my phone and I show you how to do it. And we get really nerdy. And in 15 minutes, I can show you how an app works. Yes, it's all important, the dialogue tips that you're seeing from these amazing experts right now, but it's also important to be where your kids are at. Download the apps, know what they're doing, because we want you to be those cool parents and cool educators, not cool, but the ones that are in the know, so the students know that if they see something bad online, they can come to you. And they don't have to go to one of their peers that's 13, because how much wisdom is in a 13-year-old? Unfortunately, not enough usually. And that's why we want them to come to you. So it's called Parent University. It's at smartsocial.com. It's all fall, all the way up until Thanksgiving. We're teaching each week Snapchat, Instagram, and then there's a ton of bad apps. And that's how we became famous, is we have a 3 to 5 minute app guide on every one of the bad apps. And in just a couple minutes every week, you can become an expert online. You can know why an app's bad, what app we suggest to replace it with, if does it sit in our green zone, our gray zone, our red zone, why your kids love it, and so on. I get all geeked out about this stuff because it's really important for you to be a couple steps ahead of your kids. The internet is not going away. Social media is not a fad that will disappear here soon. We all giggle, but there's a few of us out there that still kind of think that and hope that. And I do hope that you have a rich dialogue with your kids, not only about where they're at today, but about their future. I want you to talk to your kids about where they're going to college, what they want to do in their future. And then all of a sudden, this device, which Snapchat is on, is a purpose instead of just a pastime. And that is our dream for you here at smartsocial.com. I'm Josh Oakes. Once again, a big thank you to all of our awesome experts that were out here today. Thanks to everybody. And those of you, I will see you guys soon on the next episode. As always, keep it light, bright, and polite. I'll see you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.